It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the San Diego Padres. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Saturday evening to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers and Padres, Game 2 of the series. Dodgers having won a tough one last night, and it kind of figured when you look at it. First of all, the San Diego Padres have lost 6 of 7. They're hitting 184 during that stretch. The Dodgers have scored 4 runs in their last 6 games. They're hitting 184. The Padres paying the price of giving up a lot of home runs, so no surprise. Dodgers won a tough game last night 2-1 on a home run. However, for the Dodgers, they've lost the services of Yasmani Grandal for a week, 7 days to be exact, the concussion rule. You may remember if you saw the game on TV, he was hit on the side of the jaw by a swinging bat, and he was also hit in the mask by a foul tip, and the Dodgers, having to replace him, will bring up young Austin Barnes from Oklahoma City. On the mound, well, first of all, it's Ian Kennedy. Back in 2011, Kennedy was a 21-game winner. He's fallen upon lean times. He is 5-8 lifetime against the Dodgers, but the key, he is 0-6 against the Dodgers since 2013. On the mound for the Dodgers, brought up from Oklahoma City, that would be Mike Bolsinger. 2 wins and no losses, victories against Colorado and Miami. So those are the pregame notes. Pull up a chair. We've got a good ball game coming up and a whole lot more right after this.
Perfect. Wait, what? What's he doing to the anthem? Whoa, what?
A sold-out crowd expected here tonight at Dodger Stadium, and a lot of fans taking home an Adrian Gonzalez bobblehead. Why not? Welcome to Dodger Stadium, everybody. Welcome inside. I'm Alana Rizzo. When you think of Ian Kennedy, who was on the hill tonight for the San Diego Padres, some Dodger fans may think of the incident back in 2013 between Ian Kennedy and Zach Greinke. Time now for our game changer, brought to you by T-Mobile. It's been a very different tale between the two pitchers since that fight in 2013 in July. Kennedy is 0-5 in 8 starts against the Los Angeles Dodgers with an ERA of 5.67. The Dodgers, however, hitting .299 off of Kennedy in that span. And guys, back in the studio, we know what Zach Greinke has done since that time.
Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Disneyland. Get ready to be dazzled during the Disneyland Resort Diamond Celebration, happening now with spectacular new entertainment and more. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Saturday evening to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers and Padres getting ready for Game 2 of the 3-game series. Dodgers nipping San Diego last night 2-1. Bud Black, with a ball club like the Dodgers, having trouble scoring recently. And, of course, that ball club has been plagued by the home run ball. Here is the lineup card for Bud Black. Yangervis Solarte at first base. Corey Spangenberg at third. Matt Kemp in right field, and Justin Upton in left. Will Venable in center, Jed Jerko at second base, Will Middlebrooks at short, Austin Hedges the catcher, and Ian Kennedy the pitcher. On the mound for the Dodgers, Mike Bolsinger. Bolsinger out of McKinney, Texas, 6'2", 210, 27 years old, comes in with a record of 2-0. 1-4 against the West in his career. That would include when he was pitching for Arizona. And he is 0-1 against San Diego when he was with Arizona. And his first pitch to Solarte is high, ball one. 1-0 the count. Yangervis Solarte last night didn't have an important hit for the Padres. He did have a double, but he had a very important hit against the Dodgers when he swung, and the back of his swing caught Yasmani Grandal on the side of the jaw, and eventually a foul ball into the mask from Matt Kemp, and Grandal went on the 7-day concussion list. 2 balls and 1 strike to count to Solarte. Mike Bolsinger against the Padres' first career start. He did pitch against them, as Grandal looks on now as a spectator for the next week. Bolsinger's 2-1 pitch on the way. Over the top, ground ball to the right of Kendrick. Through into center field for a base hit. So Solarte, ground ball single to center, and the batter will be Corey Spangenberg. We'll take a look at the Dodgers defensively. Adrian Gonzalez, it's his night. Howie Kendrick, Jimmy Rollins, and Justin Turner. The outfield, Scott Van Slyke, Jock Peterson, Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Mike Bolsinger, the pitcher. So Solarte aboard with a base hit. Bolsinger now working on Spangenberg. Corey was in quite a slump. He was 0 for 24 when he came up with a base hit in the 8th inning last night. Fouls the pitch away, and the count, no balls and 1 strike. Bolsinger has only faced a couple of people. 2 of them are in the starting lineup. Matt Kemp 1 for 2 against him, and Justin Upton 1 for 1. So that would be the heart of the lineup, and Spangenberg, trying to keep something going, takes a change up high, and the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Dodgers in first place, technically by a game, because the Giants beat the Rockies game 1 of a day-night affair in Denver. Giants won it 10-8. The Giants scoring all 10 runs with 2 outs. By the way, the Giants are really playing well. They've now won 8 in a row. The second game is Yusmeiro Petit and former Brave David Hale, but it's been delayed because of rain. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way. That drops in nicely for a strike, and the count 1-2. Mike Bolsinger faced San Diego as a Diamondback one time, went 6 innings, lost a tough game 2-1. Mike out of his stretch, another backward glance at Solarte. Now to the hitter, ground ball to the right side. Kendrick feeding Rollins. He guns it to first. Double play. So the 4-6-3 double play, erasing Solarte, giving the Dodgers 2 quick outs here in the first inning. Kendrick to Rollins to Gonzalez. Tonight, by the way, a reminder, the game is sold out. And the big reason tonight is Adrian Gonzalez bobblehead. And a nice little touch before the game, the ceremonial first pitch. Adrian Gonzalez's father threw the first pitch to his son. It was a strike. It had a lot on it. It was a great moment. The crowd got a big kick out of it. And the family certainly all here. And the pitch in the dirt, ball 1. Matt Kemp made a couple of fine defensive plays last night. Went back with a ball hit over his head on a ball hit by Ethier. Made a diving catch on a little fly ball to right field. With the bat, he was 0 for 3 with a walk. Matt holds up, takes a strike, and the count 1-1. Kemp hitting .254, 1 home run, 22 runs batted in. He's walked 7 times, and he has struck out 37 times. 1-1 pitch is a little low. On deck, Justin Upton. So Bolsinger with 2 out in the first inning, no score. Dodgers have beaten San Diego 5 of the 7 previous games. Now the 2-1 pitch swung on, ground ball to the middleman on the load up left side. Jimmy Rollins throws him out. That'll do it for Kemp and for the Padres. Nice inning for Mike Bolsinger. So Ian Kennedy now getting ready to go back to work as the Dodgers shut down the Padres. At the end of half an inning, Padres nothing, Dodgers coming up. posted his lineup, and here are the names they're on. Leading off would be last night's hero, Jock Peterson, whose home run gave the Dodgers the 2-1 victory. Then it's Jimmy Rollins, followed by Howie Kendrick and Adrian Gonzalez. Justin Turner bats fifth at third base. Andre Ethier, followed by Scott Van Slyke. A.J. Ellis behind the plate, and Mike Bolsinger on the mound. On the mound, Ian Kennedy, born in Huntington Beach, lives over in Scottsdale. Went to school at USC and was a first-round pick by the Yankees back in 2006. Ian ready to make his first pitch, and it's in for a strike to Peterson. No balls and one strike. Jock hitting .242, 11 home runs, 22 runs batted in. The strike one pitch on the way is swung on and missed, 0-2. Ian Kennedy was a 21-game winner back in 2011, but you can't stay that way, so he's been struggling of late. He's allowed 11 runs in his last 9 2/3 innings, most recently lost to Washington. Peterson fouls it back, and the count remains 0-2. The Dodgers have really given Kennedy a bad time of late. At one time, he was 5-2 in his career against the Dodgers. He's gone 0-6 against them since 2013. Strike two pitch, Peterson grounds it foul. So for Kennedy, in his career, he is 5-8. And by the way, the Dodgers have hit 13 home runs against Kennedy. That's the most he has allowed against any one team in his career. He's given up 8 home runs to the league already. Strike two pitch is a fastball high. The home run has really hurt San Diego. They've given up 60. Their bullpen has given up 21. Pretty hard, and of course, as well as Andrew Cashner pitched last night, it didn't help. High fly ball into deep right center field, heading for the stands. It is gone. Peterson hits a 1-2 pitch that was, I think, out of the strike zone, and shocked is Ian Kennedy. Last night, his 2-1 home run was a pitch around the knees. This one, I think, we might be able to take a look, but appeared to be up, and it's thumbs up for Jock Peterson. Let's take a look. Yeah, it was almost even with his shoulders, and he wasn't sure, and it just had enough. A nice catch out there by the fellow who had the presence of mind to bring a glove. So there you have it, 61 home runs allowed by the Padres, 9 by Kennedy. The 12th home run for Peterson, and the Dodgers are on the board, 1-0. Peterson very popular with his teammates. Kennedy into the windup. The next pitch to Rollins way inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jimmy Rollins has a home run in the past. The Dodgers had 8 home runs of this lineup against Kennedy. 3 by Ethier, 3 by Gonzalez. 1-1 pitch, fouled away off third and out of play. So the Dodgers trying to give Kennedy yet another bad start. He hasn't won a game at Dodger Stadium since 2012 when he was with Arizona. Remember the brawl that he was involved in? The 1-2 pitch, line drive into right field down the line, base hit. Kemp over to get it. Rollins a turn and holds. So Kennedy has faced 2 men. He's given up a home run and now a single to right. And the batter will be Howie Kendrick.
Number 47, Howie Kendrick.
So Howie Kendrick ready to go to work. Hitting .301, 4 home runs, 17 runs batted in for the last 2 weeks. Hitting a little more than .350. So Kendrick checks in. Kennedy out of his stretch. Rollins short lead at first. Solarte holding the bag. Now Jimmy increases. Kennedy a high set, comes to his hitter, and it's low. A scrambling stop by Hedges. Hedges, the catcher, his first name is Austin Hedges. We were wondering if they ever had a pitcher named Benson. You'd have Benson and Hedges. When Bud Black pitched for the Giants, Bud Black's catcher with the Giants was Steve Decker. So the Giants had Black and Decker. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Swung on, fouled away, upstairs off to the right, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Howie Kendrick looking down to Lorenzo Bundy. Waiting on deck is the man of the night, the bobblehead king, Adrian Gonzalez. He needs 2 RBIs to have 1,000 in his career. The next pitch to Kendrick is low. 2 balls and 1 strike to count. Home run by Peterson, single by Rollins. Dodgers lead 1-0. Trying to beat San Diego 6 out of 8. Padres have lost 3 straight and 6 out of 7. 2-1 pitch on the way. Rollins holds, and this one finds the outside corner. And the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ian Kennedy made a start against the Dodgers this year. It was a bad start, the 25th of April. He went 4 1/3 innings and gave up 8 runs, including 3 home runs. Throw to first. Rollins diving back to the bag. Jimmy has stolen 3. He's also been caught 3. Sold out crowd taking in game 2 of the 3-game series on this Memorial Day holiday weekend. Kennedy out of a stretch. Right-hander's 2-2 pitch. There goes Rollins. The pitch is low. No chance. And the pitch caught the knees for strike 3. But there was no throw by Hedges. So the pitch down around the knees for strike 3. Rollins steals second base. And here is Adrian Gonzalez. Take another look. So Rollins gets a good jump. From up above, that looked like low, but it was only where the catcher caught it. So Hedges wisely holding on. Rollins steals his 4th. And now here's Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez, 2 RBIs away. When he gets 1,000, he'll become the 12th active player with at least 1,000 RBIs. He takes a strike, and the count 0-1. So Adrian trying to pick up Jimmy Rollins. It would be a nice way for him to start the evening. One thing that Gonzalez has waited on now is the home run. He swings, fouls it away. Adrian has 9 home runs, but his last home run was on May the 5th. He's had 45 at-bats over 14 games. Being the good hitter that he is, he's not looking for the home run. And very important with runners in scoring position, he's batting .419. 1 out, 1 in. Dodgers lead 1-0. Kennedy comes back, and a check swing. It's going to be a strike, and that'll do it for Adrian. A groan comes up from the audience. So Gonzalez maybe pressing a little bit. He's human. His dad threw out the first pitch. They've had a mariachi band saluting him, etc., etc., and down he goes. So 2 strikeouts, and the batter now will be Justin Turner. Turner going against all the right-handers, hitting .286 and doing a terrific job wherever they play him. So Rollins with 2 out at second base. Dodgers lead 1-0 on the leadoff home run by Jock Peterson. And the first pitch to Justin, in for a strike. 0-1. Turner against Kennedy is hitting a very cool .545. 6 for 11 with 3 doubles. So Kennedy knows who's at the plate for sure. Strike 1 pitch instead is a turn and a look back at second base. Meanwhile, Jock Peterson sitting nearby is Zach Greinke. Starts the Dodgers off the way it ended last night with a home run. Turner fouls it away, and the count 0-2. One thing about Justin Turner, in his 9 career games against San Diego at Dodger Stadium, would you believe he's hit .435, 2 doubles, a home run, 5 RBIs, and 6 runs scored. So he has worn out the Padres, especially right here. Padres on the road, not that bad, 9-11. The Dodgers on the road, 7-11. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Rollins was doing a pretty good lead, and Kennedy backs off the rubber. So Rollins taking his lead. For Kennedy, it's the old story this year. He's now given up 9 home runs, 6 against left-hand batters. The pitch, Turner takes a little low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So left-hand hitters batting .348 against him with 6 home runs. Right-handers are only hitting .200 against him, but they have hit 3 home runs. And Peterson, the latest to join the list. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There goes Rollins to third. The pitch in the dirt. Hedges never had a chance. Rollins got a good jump. He should get a stolen base because he was on his way as the pitch was low. Take another look. Good jump. All Hedges could do is block it, and by that time he had stolen third. So Rollins has stolen second and third here in the first inning. Turner trying to pick him up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kennedy ready to make his 23rd pitch, and it's a drive to right. Kemp going back, away back to the track, reaches up, makes a great catch as he bangs into the right field wall. Great play by Matt Kemp on that long drive to right, but the Dodgers started the way they ended it. A high pitch, and Peterson hits it out. The Dodgers dugout reflecting the joy. Thumbs up from Jock Peterson, and at the end of an inning, 1-0 Dodgers. And Justin Upton will start off in the second inning. He was quite a first ball hitter last night. We'll see about tonight. He takes high, ball 1. Last night, Upton fly deep to right, single to right, lined out to third, and flied to right. 11 home runs, 29 runs batted in, tied for 4th in the league. The 1-0 pitch, Justin hits one in the air to center to Peterson. Jock not quite in his tracks, but almost. And we have 1 out. No surprise to Ian Kennedy that the Dodgers scored in the first inning. For Ian Kennedy, his first innings this year, the opposition 11 for 30. That's a .367 batting average. He's given up 3 home runs in the first inning. His catcher, Austin Hedges, was sitting alongside of him. Meanwhile, the breaking ball to Venable, and that misses. 1 ball and no strikes. Venable, Jerko, and then Middlebrooks. Bolsinger right back over the top with a straight change in nicely for a strike, and the count 1-1. Will Venable has hit in 8 of his last 11. So his batting average on the rise to .266. This time ground ball to Howie Kendrick, and just like that, 2 down. So with 2 out in the second inning, Jed Jerko will be coming up. Jed Jerko did not get into the game last night. The closest he got in the on-deck circle. Jerko struggling, hitting .208, but he's perked up in May, hitting .295, 2 home runs, 9 runs batted in. Very talented second baseman, and takes ball 1, 1-0. Jerko, a Mountaineer from West Virginia. And the 1-0 pitch on the way. Bolsinger drops it a little high and in. Another off-speed pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. McKinney, Texas, about 31 miles just north of Dallas. Mike Reddy in the 2-0 pitch on the way. And he drops a slow breaking ball in there. Another off-speed pitch. 2-1. Jerko making his 12th start in the last 27 games and takes a strike. 2-2. I know Jerko at one time was having foot trouble, the plantar fasciitis. 2-2 pitch on the way. Swung on and missed, and down he goes. The Bolsinger picks up his first strikeout. He's faced 6 men in 2 innings and walks off leading 1-0. And for Ian Kennedy, time to go back to work. By Jock Peterson talking about home runs. Here comes Andre Ethier, and Ethier has hit more home runs against the Padres than any other active player, and he has 3 of them against Kennedy. In his career, Andre has 22 home runs against the Padres. And the fastball missing low and away. 1 ball and no strikes. 22 against San Diego, 18 against Arizona, 14 against Colorado, 12 against San Francisco. The 1-0 pitch on the way swung on and missed. And interestingly enough, of Andre's 22 home runs against San Diego, 17 of them have been hit right here. So Ethier, Van Slyke, and Ellis. Kennedy comes right back 1-1. Fastball fouled off. 1-2 the count. Ethier doing a tremendous job in right field in the absence Yasiel Puig. Not much to report on Puig. Every time he tries to run, that hamstring reminds him that he's not ready. 1-2 pitch. Ethier fouls it away. Though he and Kennedy certainly know each other. They've been battling each other for many years. Ian waiting. Ethier in and out of the box. Now they hook up, and the 1-2 pitch on the way. Check swing. They look at third. No swing. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Dodgers 1-run, 2 hits. Remember, Peterson homered, Rollins singled and stole second and third, but stayed there. 2-2 pitch on the way. Kennedy works it down in the dirt near Ethier's feet. 3-2. Kennedy, with a runner at third, still was able to strike out Kendrick and strike out Gonzalez. All right, they hook up again. Ethier waits. Kennedy to the windup. And the 3-2 pitch is swung on, line to right. Here comes Kemp and makes a sliding attempt. Can't catch the ball, and safely aboard is Ethier with a base hit. Matt Kemp went down to get it, went into a slide. It looked at first like he might catch it, but then as he slid by, the ball was on the grass. Matt, in looking at his body language, tells you he's annoyed that he should have caught it. He charges the sinker, tries to backhand it, and it gets off the glove. So Ethier, a line drive single to right, and the batter now will be Scott Van Slyke. So Campo has made a couple of dazzling plays, unable to do anything on that ball. Made a fine play on the ball hit by Turner. First pitch, first strike to Scott Van Slyke. Van Slyke has only had 1 at bat against Kennedy in the past, and he struck out. 0-1. Kennedy looks at Ethier, comes back to Van Slyke, gets it in there. 0-2 the count. Ian Kennedy was originally drafted by the Cardinals when he was at La Quinta High School in Huntington Beach. But he stayed back, went on to SC, and the Yankees drafted him first. Here's the strike 2 pitch on the way. Fastball hit late and foul down the line and out of play. So Van Slyke trying to keep it going. 1-0 Dodgers, bottom of the second inning. Beautiful evening, slightly overcast sky, but no rain. Flags hanging limply in center field. The lights are on and a full house. Strike 2 pitch on the way, and Van Slyke takes in the dirt. Nice block by Hedges. Ethier holding. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kennedy made it to the Yankees back in 2007, then again in 8 and again in 9, but he never had a chance to pitch much for New York. Once he got to Arizona, then he started a pitch, and that's when he won 21 games. The 1-2 pitch coming up. Kennedy delivers, swung on and whacked foul. It was off speed. Van Slyke out in front a little bit and drilled it. Still 1-2 the count. Giants won their ball game 10-8. They have another game to follow, and that's being delayed by rain. Of course, when the Dodgers were there, they got snow, and the Giants get rain. The 1-2 pitch to Scott Van Slyke is poked over the head of Jerko into right center. Ethier stopping at second. So all Van Slyke did is fully extend the arms, just reach out and loop it over the head of Jed Jerko. And the Dodgers now first and second, nobody out. Nice bit of hitting as long as you get the base hit. So 2 on, nobody out. A.J. Ellis coming up. And for Kennedy, he's been busy. He's allowed 1 run and now 4 hits. A.J. Ellis figures to be busy now that Yasmani Grandal will have to sit out 7 days, the concussion rule. Dodgers brought up Austin Barnes from Oklahoma City, and they might very well play Barnes, who certainly knows about Frias, tomorrow. Carlos Frias goes up against undefeated James Shields tomorrow. Shields 5 wins and no losses. 0-1 the count. 2 on, nobody out. The pitch swung on and missed, down and away off the plate at 86. AJ has to be pretty rusty. Once upon a time, he was in there every day. Now it's the other way around. Yasmani Grandal has the job. Grandal sitting with last night's pitcher, Zach Greinke. 0-2. The next pitch, a little roller up along third. Going to be a tough play for Spangenberg. He makes it, and the Dodgers move up to second and third. So about the same as a bunt, only it's an official at bat. As Ellis, a little ground ball to third. Corey Spangenberg, who played second base last night, bare hand pickup, off balance throw, and nips Ellis, and everybody moves up. So Ethier is now at third, Van Slyke at second, 1 out, and Mike Bolsinger the batter. Bolsinger is 0 for 7 as a hitter. If you go back in the books, his career 2 for 26. The infield has to play up. Bolsinger does not have a sacrifice if you're thinking squeeze. But of course, Jock Peterson is on deck. And the first pitch is high, ball 1. Dodgers lead 1-0. The home run by Peterson. They have 3 other hits, but no other runs. Kennedy, who's been hurt on a 2-strike pitch, actually a 1-ball 2-strike pitch, comes back 1-0, and that's in for a strike, and they count 1-1. Lorenzo Bundy perhaps flashing a sign to Bolsinger. 1-1 the count as Mike gets back in. Bolsinger is 6'2", 210. Van Slyke at second, Ethier at third, 1 out. Right-handed Kennedy's pitch swung on and missed, and they count 1-2. Dodgers not only have beaten San Diego 5 of 7, they've now nailed him 3 of 4, counting the victory last night here at Dodger Stadium. 1-2 to Bolsinger. Kennedy out of a stretch. Ian delivers, and it's swung on and missed, and down goes Bolsinger. So 2 out, first base open, and the batter is Jock Peterson.
Number 31, Jock Peterson.
3 strikeouts for Ian Kennedy. Peterson last night with 2 strikes. Joaquin Benoit tried to get a pitch out over the plate at the knees. And of course, as a left-hand batter, you'll see left-handers jump at that pitch. And he hit it halfway up the pavilion in deep right center. Tonight, his home run in the first inning was a pitch almost up to the shoulders. And that was a big surprise for Ian Kennedy that Jock could hit that one. So second and third, they load up the right side, first base open, and the pitch to Peterson, a breaking ball in for a strike. In the first inning, in case you missed it, the pitch is up and away, and yet Jock is strong enough to just get it over the right center field wall. His sign coming around the bases, thumbs up. 0-1. 1-0 Dodgers, second inning. Peterson holds up on a pitch in the dirt. And the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. No swing, says Brian Onora. James Shields and Carlos Frias tomorrow. Peterson leading the rookies in the league with 12 home runs. One ball and 1 strike. Kennedy out of a stretch, another check of the runners. Back he comes, a fastball swung on and missed. And they count 1-2. Jock coming back up to the plate, took a little walk after that big swing. Kennedy's greatest year against the National League West, the year that he won 21 games. He was 10-0 against Western Division teams. He only lost 4 games all that year anyway. The 1-2 pitch, check swing. Peterson badly fooled on a changeup and strikes out. So the Dodgers wasting 3 of their 4 hits. They lead 2, and at the end of 2, it's 1-0 Dodgers. With runners in scoring position. Nevertheless, they've done very well. Consecutive home series without a series loss. They've won 10 straight series, and they split a 4-game series with Colorado. Then you have the Royals and Angels behind them. Meanwhile, Will Middlebrooks will start it off out of Greenville, Texas. A couple of kids in Greenville battling against each other in high school, and they finally met in the World Series. Pitcher Michael Wacha. The 1-0 pitch, and that's low ball 2. Middlebrook was playing for the Boston Red Sox. Good athlete. Will is 6'4", 200-pounder. He could have been a quarterback and a punter. Committed to Texas A&M. It's a one-hopper. Rollins from the edge of the grass throws him out. So Middlebrooks taps to short, and we have one out here in the 3rd inning. That'll bring up a newcomer as far as the Dodgers are concerned.
Catcher number 18.
And that would be
Austin Hedges.
Austin Hedges out of Mission Viejo. Lives in San Juan Capistrano. He was a number 2 pick by the Padres out of high school. First pitch of the right-hand batter is taken a little high, ball 1. Austin Hedges fell in love with the position of being a catcher when he was 3 years old because he just loved all the gear that the catchers wore. He takes a strike, 1-1. He'll be 23 years old in August. 6'1", 195. Right-hand batter swings, doesn't get it, and the count 1-2. Of course, since he loved watching catchers, he has a pretty good list of good ones like Yadier Molina and Ivan Rodriguez. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way. Hedges takes high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Another note about Austin. He made a commitment to UCLA on a baseball scholarship, but the Padres chose him in the 2nd round for a lot of money. Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way. Swung on, foul back, and out of play. For Austin Hedges, This would be basically his debut year. Started in the Northwest League, Midwest League, Texas League, California League, Pacific Coast League, and here he is. Didn't take him that long. Signed in 11, and he's playing here in 15. 1-0 Dodgers, third inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Swung on, ground ball slowly. Boston hustling down the line, but Rollins played that as if he was saying, I've got a catcher. There's no way he's going to outrun my arm. So Jimmy took quite his own time. And we have 2 down. Ian Kennedy coming up. Kennedy is 1 for 9. Bolsinger gave up the leadoff single to Solarte, and he has retired 7 in a row since. Working now on Kennedy, and it is in for a strike. Bolsinger has gotten 6 batters after falling behind on the first pitch, but not with Kennedy. Back he comes low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Padres trying to shake themselves. They've lost 3 straight and 6 out of 7. The 1-1 pitch. Kennedy takes a strike. 1-2 to count. Padres 6 back. Giants technically 1 back. Giants won their first game today, 10-8. 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball just off the plate. Kennedy showed a little discipline. Started to go after it and held up. Bolsinger takes a moment just to check the defense. Kennedy waiting. Right-hand batter. And the 1-1 pitch swung on and missed, and that will do it. Second strikeout as Kennedy goes down. Second strikeout for Mike Bolsinger. He's retired 8 in a row, and at the end of 2.5, Dodgers lead 1-0. Coaster set presented by Arco. The first 40,000 fans in attendance will get their coaster set when the Dodgers face the Braves Wednesday at 7:10. So for more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. Bottom of the third inning, Jimmy Rollins, Howie Kendrick, Adrian Gonzalez. Rollins put on a little show in the first inning. He singled to right, then he stole second, and then he stole third. For Rollins, he has stolen third 99 times in his career. Who's ahead of him? Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro has stolen third 109 times. Behind him, the young shortstop Jose Reyes, 96. 0-1 the count. Howie Kendrick waiting on deck. Padres loading up the right side. Middlebrooks staying over as the shortstop. Fly ball to shallow left. Upton comes up, reaches up and one-hands it. So Rollins a fly ball, one down. And the batter will be Howie Kendrick.
Number 47, Howie Kendrick.
Howie Kendrick struck out in the first inning, and so did Adrian Gonzalez. And then Turner came up and hit the ball over Matt Kemp's head in right field, and Matt made a great catch before banging into the wall. So one out. Here's the pitch to Kendrick, and he takes low and away, ball one. Again, a reminder tomorrow, James Shields with a record of 5-0 going up against Carlos Frias. Frias 3-1. And the pitch to Kendrick in for a strike. So Kennedy being pushed around a little bit, but he got away cheaply enough. One run in the first inning. That has been a bad inning for him all year, as we pointed out. Kennedy's 1-1 pitch on the way, and that's off the plate. 2 balls and 1 strike the count. Now the 2-1 pitch on the way. Ground ball to the right side. Jed Jerko is there to make the play. And we have 2 down in the third. Adrian Gonzalez coming up. How good was Ian Kennedy? Well, when he won 20 games, he became just one of 9 pitchers since 1950 to win 20, make 30 starts, not lose more than 4. Great record, 21-4. And he joined former Dodger pitcher Preacher Rowe, among others. Well, here's Gonzalez, struck out in the first inning and takes a pitch off the plate, ball one. Adrian hitting .345. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way, swung on, fouled away outside of first base. Gonzalez struggling of late. He's had 4 hits in his last 20 at-bats. No RBIs in the last 6 games. 1-1 the count. Kennedy's next pitch swung on and missed. 1-2 to Adrian. Pretty hard, it seems to me, over the years. They study, and if it's your night, if it's your bobblehead night, you don't usually do too well. I think those who really have a big night on their bobblehead night are very rare. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled away. So Adrian trying to keep something going. Kennedy has now retired 5 in a row. On deck, Justin Turner. One and 2 the count. Next pitch is a fly ball to right field. Going out to get it is Jerko, but coming in is Matt Kemp. Easy play for Matt. Down go the Dodgers at 6 in a row, retired by Kennedy. And at the end of 3, it's 1-0 Dodgers. Ball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by the Dodge Challenger. With an EPA estimated 30 highway MPG, this car was made for driving in California. Visit Dodge.com today. Fourth inning, 1-0 Dodgers. It'll be Yangervis Solarte to start it off. He singled a center in the first inning. Solarte, Spangenberg, and Kemp. Fastball pulled wide at first. Gonzalez has to hang it and does for Bolsinger. Nice play, one away. They work on that play for hour after hour throughout spring training, and then every now and then during the year they'll get out there and again play that 3-1 play, first baseman to the pitcher covering. Corey Spangenberg, who broke that drought last night, he was 0 for 24 and got a base hit, then walked up in the first inning and promptly banged into a double play. 1-0 Dodgers. The leadoff home run by Jock Peterson. So he's had a closing home run and an opener. The most leadoff home runs by a rookie, Jock Peterson and Johnny Frederick, who played with the Dodgers back in 1929. That would be 3. Foul ball. The most home runs by anyone other than rookies would be 7, and that was hit by Davy Lopes in 1975. That's 7 most leadoff home runs in a year. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tried to time it, wound up late. 1-2. Corey lives in Fort Pierce, Florida, about 15 miles south of Vero Beach. However, he spent most of his young life in Pennsylvania. Went to VMI, Virginia Military Institute, for 1 year. And lifts a fly ball to left field. Dan Slight. So 2 down in the 4th inning, and Matt Kemp coming up. Matt Kemp has not done anything with the bat, but he's made 2 fine plays. This one on Pete Ethier, then a diving catch on the ball by Rollins, and tonight a dandy on a ball hit by Justin Turner. So Matt doing a great job defensively in right field, and now coming up with 2 out in the 4th inning. 9 in a row retired by Mike Bolsinger. Dodgers load the left. 0-1. Kemp started off, he had a great April, and he's been struggling ever since in May. Check swing. They'll look. No swing, says Alan Porter. And a 1 ball, 1 strike count. Just did keep it back. Almost on the line. 1-1. Two and 1. Mike Bolsinger gave up a single to Solarte, and he's gotten everybody since. 10 in a row. And got the corner with a change. Matt doesn't argue, but you have the idea he thinks that might have been a bad call. 2-2. And got him. So it's another 1-2-3 inning for Mike Bolsinger. He's now retired 11 in a row. He has struck out 3, and at the end of 3.5 innings, Dodgers lead 1-0. Lasorda Garden Gnome, presented by Chef Marito Seasonings. Get yours Monday at 5:10. Dodgers face the Braves. So go to Dodgers.com/promotions for more information. Mike Bolsinger has made only 47 pitches. He's retired 11 in a row. And the Dodgers so far leading 1-0 as Rick Honeycutt talks to Mike. Here's Justin Turner and ball one. Turner hit the ball over Matt Kemp's head, and Matt made a great running catch going right into the wall face first. And ball two. Ian Kennedy, greeted by the home run from Jock Peterson, has settled down a wee bit. He's retired the last 6 in a row. Foul ball out of play. 2-1. Justin Turner, Dodgers really found a diamond in the rough when they picked him up. He was playing for the Mets, then he was playing for Brooklyn and Binghamton and St. Lucie, and now he hits one right on the button, but right at the shortstop Middlebrooks. So one away.
Number 16, Andre Ethier.
Andre Ethier, single to right field in the second inning, and then Van Slyke followed with a single, but Ellis and Bolsinger did not deliver. The only run, the home run by Jock Peterson. Andre with good numbers, especially at Kennedy. Came in hitting .361. He has 14 hits and 3 home runs against Kennedy. 1 ball and no strikes. Two balls and no strikes. Kennedy giving up 9 home runs. Andrew Kashner has given up 8. James Shields, that's rather remarkable. I'm going to check and see if that's right. Shields is 5-0, and they have him giving up 14 home runs. Is that true? Wow. Well, we'll see him tomorrow. And a drive to right. Kemp going back. He'll handle it on the track. So Ethier just a fly ball. 2 down in the 4th inning. So Kennedy now suddenly turning around, has retired 8 in a row. Scott Van Slyke single to right field in the 2nd inning. On deck, A.J. Ellis behind Van Slyke. So Ethier a tough out no matter how you cut it. Van Slyke takes off the plate, ball 1. Scotty just reached out at a pitch and plunked it over the head of Jed Jerko for a base hit in the 2nd inning. 1-1. They don't load up the left side against Van Slyke. But Spangenberg deep almost on the line. Middlebrooks on the rim in the hole. 2-1. Strike. Good fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Kennedy's pitch count now up to 70. Bolsinger's made 47. 3-2. It's a rather formidable staff that the Padres have. Kennedy, the number 4 man. Ground ball right exactly where Spangenberg was playing. Though it's an easy inning, 8 in a row retired by Kennedy. So at the end of 4, it's another tough Dodger lead, 1-0. The next episode of Connected with J.P. Howell. He talks about his relationship with the president of Dodger baseball operations, Andrew Friedman. Plus, he'll sit down with Delano Rizzo, discuss signing with the Dodgers, transitioning from starting pitcher to reliever. So don't miss Connected with J.P. Howell. That'll be tomorrow at 5 on Sportsnet LA. Leading off, Justin Upton, first ball swinger, and does it again. Upton flied to center in the second inning. A remarkably talented all-around player. And a strike. 0-2. Mike Bolsinger has done a very good job, retiring 11 in a row. Off the plate, 0-2. Justin Upton has had some big years. Hit as many as 31 home runs. Last year for the Braves, he drove in 102 runs. With all of it, he's 27. He won't be 28 till the end of August. Two and two. Reached for the breaking ball and hits it to Kendrick. So Upton fooled, went after it, pays the price. 12 in a row retired now. The leadoff man, Yangervis Solarte, single to center. Undeterred, Bolsinger turned around, and he's gotten everybody since. Venable grounded to second in the second inning. And a strike. Venable has been with the Padres since 2008. Came out of Princeton University. And another strike, 0-2. Venable last year had a great month of August. He had 40 hits. Check swing. They're going to punch him out. So Venable strikes out. That's 13 in a row retired by Mike Bolsinger. And the batter is Jed Jerko. The other night, the game was played in San Francisco. It was freezing. And we were going to the bus through the tunnel to get out of AT&T Park, and who's in the runway on the phone, and it was freezing cold. Mike Bolsinger in a T-shirt. So after he got off the phone, we said, Mike, a T-shirt in this weather? Oh, he said, they called me up in such a hurry I didn't have any clothing. I'm going to go to the store tomorrow and stock up. Another strike. And a fly ball to right field. Ethier. So it's another easy inning. Mike Bolsinger making some news here. Gives up a leadoff single in the first inning and has gotten everybody since. And at the end of 4.5, it's still 1-0 Dodgers. Brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Save big on any 2015 Camry now at the Toyota Time Sales Event. Bottom of the 5th inning, it'll be A.J. Ellis, Mike Bolsinger, and Jock Peterson. The Dodgers with a home run by Peterson leading off the game to give them the run. The leading off the game batter for the Padres, Yangervis Solarte, singled, and they've never been heard from again. And a strike to A.J. He's not happy on that call. Clint Fagan, the plate umpire, been an umpire since 2005, but mostly in the minor leagues. And another strike. 0-2. So Kenny working the ball down, gets ahead of the hitter. He's retired 9 in a row. Bolsinger's retired 14 in a row. Fastball perfectly placed, not particularly thrown hard. A.J. muttering to himself, still 0-2. Little slider off the plate, 1-2. So Kennedy looked like he was going to be in very hot water immediately. Home run followed by a single. Rollins stole second and third against him, but he has turned around after giving up 2 more hits in the second inning. 2-2. Head down, thinking over his pitches. Jock Peterson. Two balls, 2 strikes. Ball 3. In the opening remarks about the game, we talked about the fact that the Padres had lost 6 out of 7 and were hitting 184. The Dodgers had scored 4 runs in their last 6 games, and they were hitting 184. And that's the kind of game we have right now. That's Jerko out there to make the catch. 1 down.
Number 46, Mike Bolsinger.
So 10 in a row retired. So we've had 24 consecutive outs tonight. Mike Bolsinger struck out in the second inning, 0 for 1. Fastball at the knees, 0 and 1. And another fastball, hack foul, 0 and 2. Waiting on deck, Jock Peterson. Ian Kennedy, before the 2007 season, he was with the Yankees, and he set a wedding date for October. All of a sudden, the wedding might very well be a problem. However, the wedding was going to be near St. Louis to his Southern California basketball player Allison Jaskowiak. It worked out. They were able to get the wedding without having baseball interfere. Little flare. Solarte lost it in the lights there for a minute. And as you'd imagine, a major league pitcher and his wife, a basketball player at SC, when they were married, they walked back down the aisle in the church, and the organ played "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Perfect. So Bolsinger pops out. We got 2 down, 11 in a row retired, and here's Jock Peterson. Peterson homered and struck out. Right side loaded up. Outfield pinched a little bit. 0 and 1. Here it is, that precious thing, the only run in the game on a high pitch that was away from him so he could extend his arms, and he hits it out. And it's thumbs up to everybody. Last night the home run was down around the knees from Benoit. Change breaking ball for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes. Bottom of the 5th inning, 2 out. So that will do it in the 5th inning, and at the end of 5, it's still 1-0 Dodgers. Green had the biggest day of his life. First of all, he went 6 for 6. Secondly, he hit 4 home runs, a double and a single. That gave him 19 total bases. He also drove in 7 runs, and for good measure, he scored 6. Worst thing to happen in Milwaukee since flat beer. Let's go back to this one. Will Middlebrooks with a strike, 0-1 to count. Hedges and then Kennedy. High fly ball to left center. Peterson charging. He's the captain out there. One away. Well, that's 15 in a row retired by Bolsinger after the leadoff single.
Austin Hedges.
So Austin Hedges had grounded to short in the 3rd inning coming up. Bolsinger has only made 60 pitches, and he has 1 out in the 6th inning. Ball 1 to the backstop. Off speed and didn't get it down enough. 2 balls and no strikes. Hedges followed by Kennedy. Kennedy has made 86 pitches in his 5 innings. That's foul back, 2-1. Austin Hedges. High pitch up around the shoulders. Probably was out of the strike zone. 2-2. Oh, caught looking. The Hedges getting a little education on that pitch. Big slow breaking ball. Looking for anything but that. Locked in.
Number 22.
It's also 16 in a row retired by Mike Bolsinger. And Ian Kennedy coming up. Kennedy struck out in the 3rd inning. Bolsinger has struck out 5. Kennedy has struck out 5. The only thing in the ball game, the big difference, the leadoff home run by Jock Peterson. Last night he won it 2-1. Tonight he's leading 1-0. That's a strike. 1-1. One ball, 1 strike. And that's going to go foul into the stands. Sellout crowd tonight. Hope you'll be out here with us tomorrow. Tomorrow's ball game, it'll be James Shields 5-0 against Carlos Frias 3-1. And bring the kids. They're here tonight. Great to see. No way you can look at a group of children like that without smiling. Little nubber. It's going to be Bolsinger taking plenty of time. So 17 in a row retired by Mike Bolsinger after the leadoff single. And we're going to the bottom of the 6th inning. 1-0 Dodgers. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance June 4th and receive a Kenley Jansen bobblehead presented by State Farm. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. Ian Kennedy locked in a pitching duel with Mike Bolsinger. And by the way, Mike Bolsinger has retired 17 in a row after the base hit. There are 4 Dodger pitchers since the move to Los Angeles to allow fewer than 3 runs total in their first 3 starts with the club. Who are they? Well, Mike Bolsinger, followed by Greg Maddux, Mike Hartley, and Fernando Valenzuela. For Bolsinger, tonight is his 4th start. Jimmy Rollins, single to right, fly to left, stole second and third. Right side of the infield loaded up. Middlebrooks in on the grass. 2-0. Kennedy got on a roll of his own. He's retired 12 in a row. Foul back. Fastball alley. Rollins hitting 196, but he's actually hitting a lot better than that. He's been hitting the ball very hard, and the old atom ball. 2-1. And a strike. 2-2 to Jimmy Rollins. Adrian Gonzalez looking for 2 more ribbies to have 1,000. Rollins has 900. 3-2. Waiting on deck, Howie Kendrick. Bottom of the 6th, 1-0 Dodgers. Fastball pull foul. Still 3-2 to Jimmy. Rollins started with the Phillies 2000. So his 16th year. And popped up. Middlebrooks, the shortstop, with Upton coming in there and hollering him off the ball.
Number 47.
So 1 out in the 6th inning. And the batter, Howie Kendrick, struck out and grounded out. So we have quite a duel going on here. Bolsinger has retired 17 in a row. Kennedy has retired 13 in a row. And here's Kendrick. Fastball hit up the middle. Jerko gobbles it up, makes the play. 2 down.
Number 23.
14 in a row.
Gonzalez.
So here's Adrian Gonzalez. Struck out and flied to right. His bobblehead featuring, among other things, the Gold Glove. Going into the game, Gonzalez was hitting .268 against Kennedy. He had 11 hits, 4 doubles, and 3 home runs. But he is 0 for 2 tonight. Away, 1-1. It'll be the top of the order for the Padres in the 7th. Solarte, Spangenberg, and Kemp. If anybody gets on, Upton. 1-2. Marlins won a ball game today in 13 innings. Martin Prado drove in a run, and the Marlins beat Baltimore 1-0 to snap an 8-game losing streak. And foul ball out of play. In game 2, remember the Giants won the first game 10-8. They are playing their second game tonight. They're in the 3rd inning. Angel Pagan scored on a wild pitch, and the Giants lead the Rockies 1-0. 1-2. Foul ball. So the Dodger lead is a game and a half. Giants sweep and Dodgers lose, they'd be tied. Giants would pick up that game and a half. One ball and 2 strikes. Fastball lined to left field for a hit. Over to get it is Upton, who has a great arm. And holding on at first, Adrian Gonzalez. So that breaks the string at 14. 100 pitches made. I don't imagine Bud Black would be eager to go to the bullpen anyway, because Kennedy's pitching very, very well. Bud knows his bullpen has allowed 21 home runs. And where the Dodger bullpen is 3rd with an ERA of 2.5, the Padre bullpen has an earned run average of over 4.5. There's one hit into left center. That's a base hit. And that will go to the wall. So here comes Gonzalez to 3rd. The relay will be late coming. In fact, there'll be no relay. Gonzalez scores and the Dodgers lead 2-0 on a double by Justin Turner. The Padres did not look like a good ball club on that play. First of all, the ball is hit well into left center field, but then took what happened. Upton and Venable. Upton bobbles the ball. Then Upton throws it and does not get it to the relay man. And so Gonzalez can score from first unmolested. So bad defense by the Padres. The Dodgers take the run and lead 2-0. So Turner, who hit that ball over Kemp's head and was robbed of a double in the first inning, comes up with a double now. Kevin Quackenbush now gets up in the bullpen for San Diego. Andre Ethier single to right, fly to right. Turner hounded by Middlebrooks. 0-2 the count to Andre. Two runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit for San Diego. There's Kevin getting ready in the pen. A better defensive ball club, it would still be 1-0. Dodgers would have runners at 2nd and 3rd. But San Diego just manhandled that ball in left center, and it allowed Gonzalez to score from first. And there's 2 out. One and 2 to Andre. Gonzalez talking about going from first to home. Whoa, fastball to get him out of there. 2-2 the count. As Branch Rickey used to call it, the purpose pitch. Off speed, fouled away. Andre getting that off the right leg. That was the purpose pitch. Then the off-speed pitch follows. Breaking ball, and that gets him on the front leg. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hedges out to talk to Kennedy for the moment. So the 22-year-old catcher just called up, going out to talk to, I guess you'd call him a grizzled veteran, Ian Kennedy. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Turner looking for a ride home at second. Middlebrooks right behind him. And a little foul out of play. That's a big play. The fact that the Padres messed up that double. More than the double, they messed up getting any kind of a relay. Upton had trouble picking the ball up, and that started it. There's no reason Adrian Gonzalez, who's talking to Brandon League, should score from first on a double and with 2 out. Pulled foul. Take a look just to watch San Diego. Here's the ball. Here's Upton. And that's the first problem. Now he's in a hurry. Picks it up and wildly throws. There's no cutoff man. And it just runs all the way to the infield to Middlebrook. So because of that, the Dodgers get a huge run. And they'll take it. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2-0 Dodgers. Ethier with Van Slyke on deck. 3-2. Kennedy's pitch count now is up to 109. And looking at his previous games, the high was 108. So Quackenbush is ready if they need him. Three balls, 2 strikes. Got him. So again, by messing up on the double, the Padres give up a huge run. Instead of 1-0, it's 2-0. Gonzalez scoring from first. Upton had a bad time with the ball, and the Dodgers lead 2-0. His double actually scored Gonzalez from first, giving Mike Bollinger a 2-0 lead. Bolsinger has been absolutely brilliant. He has retired 17 in a row on 69 pitches. He gave up a single, a ground single up the middle to Yangervis Solarte, and that's it. So Kennedy, who made 110 pitches, is finished for the night, and he pitched a terrific game. Bolsinger throws one to the backstop, ball 1. That's the best we have seen Ian Kennedy pitch in quite a while, and he was brilliant. And as we've mentioned, he should have gone out trailing 1-0, not 2-0. Right. Solarte grounded a single up the middle and grounded out to Adrian Gonzalez in the 4th inning. Bolsinger has retired 17 in a row since the hit. Right. Michael Bolsinger out of McKinney, Texas, went to school at the University of Arkansas. Fly ball coming over Van Slyke. So that's 18 in a row. Corey Spangenberg came up after Solarte opened up the game with a single, and Spangenberg promptly hit into a double play. His last time up flied to left. 18 in a row retired by Bolsinger, but remember, he did give up the opening hit. Ball 1, high changeup. Matt Kemp on deck. One and one. Bolsinger was called to the majors last year in April. He said, "I don't think I slept more than 2 or 3 hours a night for the first week." He was so excited. Foul ball, 1-2. Basically, fastball, slider, cutter, big curveball. Still working on his change. Mike, as you can see in his previous starts and then what he has done with the Dodgers. One and two. Just off the plate. Framed nicely by Ellis, but it didn't fool Fagan, the umpire. That fools the hitter. So Bolsinger strikes out his 6th. 2 down. He's now retired 19 in a row.
Number 27, Matt Kemp.
And here's Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp with the bat, grounded to short, struck out 0 for 2. Matt last night went 0 for 3 with a walk. So he is 0 for 5 in the series. Matt hitting .251. Ball 1. Dodgers load up the left side. Rollins in the middle. That's a strike. Kemp, I think, talking to the plate umpire. He is. And the plate umpire talked back. It's okay if you keep your head down. The crowd doesn't know that you're muttering. Hopper, there's the middleman, Jimmy Rollins, throws him out. Believe it or not, Mike Bolsinger has retired 20 in a row. Big grin on Rollins' face, and we're going to the bottom of the 7th, 2-0 Dodgers. Dodgers leading 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Ian Kennedy pitched a great 6, should have only given up 1 run. Meanwhile, Mike Bolsinger has pitched an even greater 7, and now reliever Kevin Quackenbush taking over and pitching to Van Slyke. A strike, 0-1. Kevin is out of Tampa, Florida, went to the University of South Florida. Big man, 6'3", 210, 26 years old. 1 ball and 1 strike. Van Slyke, single to right, grounded to third. One and 2. Two runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 1 hit for the Padres. The leadoff single by Yangervis Solarte. Whoa, almost to the backside. Kevin signed in the 8th round as Bolsinger waits his turn. Good stuff. 91 takes care of Van Slyke. First strikeout for Quackenbush. 6 strikeouts for Ian Kennedy. And here's what's ahead of the Dodgers. Tomorrow at 1:10, the Padres again, Carlos Frias and James Shields. And then here come the Braves. Monday at 5:10, and then Tuesday and Wednesday night, the Dodgers then will go out on the road, going to St. Louis and Colorado. A.J. Ellis grounded to third and popped up. This time strokes 1 foul. 0-1. One of the interesting thing about Mike Bolsinger, and he's on deck, we've talked about it tonight, he's retired 20 in a row. But the interesting thing about Bolsinger, he's gotten only 7 first pitch strikes. 0-1 to A.J. Ellis. 1-1. So Bolsinger tuning up in the on-deck circle after a rather remarkable 7 innings. High foul coming down is Solarte coming over his hedges. Who's calling? It'll be Solarte. That should never happen. Any problem? Not in front of the team's bench.
Number 46.
So 2
Mike
down.
Bolsinger.
And here's Mike Bolsinger. So Bolsinger pitching from behind, which is backwards, and nevertheless getting away with it. 20 straight retired. 7 first pitch strike. Wow. Right. 0-1. Oh, and 2. Giants were winning early. Picked up a run in the second game on a wild pitch. They won the first game 10-8. That'll do it. So a quiet strikeout. Bolsinger just turns and walks away. 2 strikeouts for Quackenbush. Dodgers go quietly. And at the end of 7, Dodgers 2, Padres nothing.
All right, Dodgers fans.
Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Get to Nissan's ride of your life for exciting performance and surprising offer. Shop at ChooseNissan.com. And by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Use promo code BlueCrew for free entry. We go to the 8th inning. It is 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers here at Dodger Stadium. In the 8th, it'll be Justin Upton, Will Venable, and then Jed Geico. And actually, the way that Upton handled the ball is a difference, taking a 1-0 game and making it 2-0. Justin flied to center, went out to second base. Been swinging at a lot of first pitches. We'll see about now. Nope, strike. No balls, 2 strikes. So this is the rare time where Bolsinger has gotten out in front of a hitter. Only the 8th of 21. He got the first strike and then came back and got a second strike. He's backed up by Yimi Garcia and Adam Liebertor in the Dodger bullpen. Ball 1. Frank Garces throwing in the Padre pen. We're in the 8th. Garcia and Liebertor, the left-hander. Oh, got him with a change. Upton can't believe it, and down he goes, looking out at Bolsinger as if to say, how in the world do you get me out with that kind of stuff?
Number 25.
Right there. 7 strikeouts for Mike Bolsinger. 21 in a row retired. Will Venable has grounded out and struck out. Shows bunt. Ball 1. That had Turner on the move. Nothing new on that Giant game. Last we heard 1-0 in the 4th. A drag bunt. Bolsinger smothers. Throws from his knees and got him. So Mike Bolsinger, big grin on his face going after that pitch. And while on his knees making the play, slip. Down he goes. Where's the ball? All right. Venable runs well. Still out. So Bolsinger and Turner having an now here comes Bud Black. And let's see about Upton. Upton still mad over that strike 3 call. If Clint Fagan threw him out, it was a quick ejection. Black, I think, is talking to the plate umpire saying, you look right at him. Now, I'm not sure. So Upton on the strike 3 call went back to the dugout. Watch Fagan, see him gesturing. First he said quiet, then he said get out. And I think Black argued, why were you looking over here? Well, Upton obviously angry on the strike 3 call. So 2 out in the 8th inning. I guess we should say 3 out, counting Upton. And here is Jerko, struck out, fly to right. Ball 1. Mike Bolsinger has retired 22 in a row. Foul ball down the line, 1-1. Big crowd, sellout crowd. And it's well over 50 being a sellout. In fact, it's 53,479, the 4th sellout of the year. Breaking ball drops in there. It's got to be maddening. That was the kind of a pitch that got Upton angry. It looks like it's up there, and at the last second, it seems to dip in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. Dodgers in the bottom of the 8th have Peterson, Rollins, and Kendrick. And if anybody gets on, Adrian Gonzalez. And down goes Jerko. What a performance by Mike Bolsinger. 23 in a row. He has struck out 8. And we're going to the bottom of the 8th with the Dodgers leading 2-0. Game summary pretty much on the head of a pin again. Jock Peterson hit a home run. Adrian Gonzalez singles and scores on a misplayed double, and that's a big play. In fact, while we're looking at it, we got a report Adrian Gonzalez had scored from first on a double once in the last 17 times he had been on first before a double. And of course, it took the misplay by Justin Upton to allow that second run to score. Abraham Almonte now taking over for Justin in left field. Frank Garces out of San Cristobal in the Dominican will pick up now, originally signed by the Rangers. That was back in '09, so he's arrived in a hurry. He was pitching for the Padres last year. Jock Peterson opened up the game with a home run. He has struck out twice since. He gave the Dodgers the 1-0 lead. Ball 1. All of Jock's home runs hit against right-hand pitching. Garces basically fastball, curve, change. That's a strike. 1-1. Down in the bullpen, getting ready, Kenley Jansen. And that's going to go down the line foul, way out of play. 1-2 the count to Jock Peterson. Bolsinger, in going 11 innings, has made 92 pitches. I mean, he just turned in a tremendous job. And a big curveball, and that takes care of it. So for Jock, home run in the first inning, and then he strikes out 3 times in his last at bat. That would be the 9th Dodger to strike out tonight. And here's Jimmy Rollins, single to right, stole second and third, but stayed at third. Since then has hit 2 fly balls to left field. The paid attendance, a whopper, as we mentioned. 53,479. Of course, when Dodger Stadium was built in 1962, the paid attendance was listed at 56,000. I don't ever remember them getting 56. They get 55 and a high number, let's say, in the World Series. I don't ever remember 56. Now they've rearranged a lot of the seating, and 53,479, a sellout. 2-1 the count. Jimmy 1 for 3. 3-1 the count. Garces 5'11", 175. Not a big man, but he can move that ball up there. Fastball. Going out is Jerko. Coming in is Kemp, and Jerko will make the play. Say, follow the Dodgers all season with MLB.com At Bat. That's the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, statcasts, and even more. So get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. 2 out in the 8th. Here's Howie Kendrick. Big sweeping breaking ball for ball 1. Kendrick struck out twice, has grounded to the right side to Jed Jerko. At one stretch, Ian Kennedy had retired 14 in a row. Had it not for the Padres misplaying the double by Turner, it would still be 1-0. Middlebrooks, Hedges, and the pitcher spot due up in the 9th. High fly ball. It's playable. Kemp is at the other end of it. All right. We've got 8 in the books, and the 9th inning yet to come. Kenley Jansen throwing in the bullpen, and he has a tough act to follow. The act led by Mike Bolsinger, who retired the side 23 in a row, and the Dodgers lead 2-0 going to the 9th. He gives up a leadoff single and then turns around and retires 23 in a row. 1 hit, 8 strikeouts, no walks, 92 pitches. The only thing he did not do a lot of was get the first pitch for a strike, but otherwise absolutely brilliant. So Kenley Jansen now will pick up. Kenley Jansen has a streak of 12 scoreless appearances. He's faced 10 batters this season, and he has struck out 7 of them. He hasn't allowed a hit yet in 3 innings. The one man who's getting on base against him, Carlos Gonzalez, got on base on a strikeout pass ball, and that was the game where Jansen struck out 4 in 1 inning. So Will Middlebrooks will start it off. Then Hedges, in fact not Hedges, Derek Norris will be batting for his backup catcher. Middlebrooks 0 for 2. And a strike. Padres coming into this game have been shut out 7 times. 0-1. Big chopper foul. The outfield split. They give Middlebrooks a little bit of center and a whole lot of left center if he manages to connect out that way. Then Norris, and then Garces the pitcher. Oh, 0-2. Bounce that thing. By the way, they're in the 5th inning of the 2nd game in Denver, and the Rockies have come from behind and lead the Giants 2-1 in the 5th. Giants won the first game 10-8. Got him. Fastball up, 93. So 9 Padres have struck out, 8 by the starting pitcher Bolsinger, and the high hard one takes care of Middlebrooks. So here's Derek Norris. Norris last night struck out, flied to right, doubled, scored a run, and grounded to short. The run he scored was not enough. Remember, the Dodgers won the game 2-1 on Peterson's home run. So the Dodgers trying to win tonight 2-0. And a little foul. Gonzalez moving over and backhands it. So Norris fouling out. Bolsinger 1 out away from his 3rd victory without a loss.
Number 16, Abraham Almonte.
Abraham Almonte is coming up. He came into the game to replace Justin Upton, and it was a 2-for-1 move. So Almonte batting here with 2 out in the 9th inning. 25 in a row. The only man to get on base. Solarte led off the game with a single, and the Padres have not been heard from since. Almonte appeared as a pinch hitter last night and struck out. Since the beginning of 2013, Bud Black's Padres have been shut out 35 times. This could be the 8th time this year. A bunt. Good bunt. Barehanded. Turner's throw. Got him. And that's it. Great play by Justin Turner to nail Almonte on the bunt. So for the Padres, it was a very short night. Peterson homered. Dodgers were given a 2nd big run on a misplayed double. And meanwhile, Bolsinger turned in an incredible job. Retired 23 in a row. Gave up a base hit to the first man up. Jed Jerko struck out twice against him, but all told he had 8 strikeouts. And then is the diving stop he made and the play to first. So the night belonged to Mike Bolsinger. For Kenley Jansen, he did the job in the 9th inning on 7 pitches. So the Dodgers will stay in first place. If the Giants win 2, the Dodger lead will be 1. And tomorrow, Carlos Frias and James Shields. Talk to you then. Till then, we wish you all a very pleasant good evening, everybody.